Hello, and thank you for joining me in another video. And today we are once again talking about my biggest holding and my favorite stock, which is, of course, Rocket Lab. And what we're going to be going in today is actually going on a bit of a deeper look inside of the defense part of Rocket Lab's business. Now, we know a lot about this part of the business. We've got exposure to them signing big contracts and also driving a lot of revenue through this business as well. But what we're going to look into today is actually specifically what I think is overlooked a little bit, which is how much this part of the business can actually be doing for raising investment and improving investor sentiment, which is what we're going to go on to right now. So first of all, let's take a look over onto the actual stock price. So the actual stock price has been quite boring. For the past around month, we shot off really high at the start of the year. We'll get into why that might have actually been or what might have been helping towards that. We've been remarkably flat. I'm not too unhappy about that. As you all know, if you're a keen investor, the markets have been very choppy, particularly in the past month, and especially since the weekend when the conflict in Iran has started. So given that we are very high beta stock with Rocket Lab, we're trading at kind of 50 times revenue at the moment. I think nearly something around 50 times revenue, 50 times revenue, depending on the day. You normally get big drops like that with the market, but it's actually stayed fairly flat with the market. Rocket Lab, if we look at the last month, down only 4%. If we look at the S&P 500, down 1%. Considering where Rocket Lab is and what a lot of other high beta growth stocks have done, that's not too bad. And actually in the last 5 days when everything has been getting really red, we have seen a drop off in Rocket Lab, but that has been bought up very consistently. We're always going in strong towards the end of the day. So why is that? Well, something that I came across over on X, which is from this account saying no to trading, but it actually talks about Rocket Lab is in a number, but specifically this US aerospace and defense ETF. Rocket Lab does a lot for the defense industry and it has a lot of big contracts, so it makes sense it is in these. But what does it mean when a conflict happens or war happens? It means that people automatically buy into defense and aerospace names, and also a great way of doing that is inside these ETFs. So what the post here is highlighting is that during times of conflict, investments into these are going to go up, and Rocket Lab is a holding in there. And sure enough, kind of looking into this specific one we've got here, US Aerospace and Defense ETF. If we go into their holdings, we've got Rocket Lab. Where do we have Rocket Lab? Oh, here we go. Sorry, went past it. Right here. Over $400 million in there, and over 600 million shares acquired. So basically what happens if people are buying into this ETF, the ETF spreads their money across these different contractors. And so if people are buying into the ETF, such as this one, people are also going to be buying into Rocket Lab. We've got 2.64% weighted holdings in this ETF, which is no small amount, over $400 million. And what's also taken into account, this is just one ETF, it's a very large one, but there are lots of these other ETFs and investment vehicles that are put together that will also be including Rocket Lab most likely as well. Let's have a look at the performance of that. So if we have a look at the last 5 days, we're actually only flat on the 5 days. And you might be thinking, why has that happened if the conflict has just started? Well, if we look over the past month, the market is always forward looking, and although the conflict has only just started, we have been building up to this for a few weeks and months. And also, if we look at the past 6 months with general conflicts looking like they've been on the edge, this ETF has gone up 23%. So basically, as people get more fearful about war and conflict happening on, that is why people would move into an aerospace and defense ETF like that. And what I'm actually kind of getting from looking at this X post and what I'm thinking about this now is it does look like we have this hidden benefit that not a lot of people talk about with Rocket Lab, which is, okay, conflict is the terrible thing that we don't want to see. It means oil stocks have been rising, natural gas stocks have been, liquefied natural gas stocks have been rising, but it does mean aerospace and defense names have been going up, for example, like Lockheed Martin. Rocket Lab is going to get some extra boost from also being a defense contractor. So where other growth names will be getting hit, Rocket Lab does have this massive arm of their business that is going to be getting support. And I think that might have actually been helping out Rocket Lab quite a lot recently, because it showed remarkable strength considering how highly it is valued as a growth stock growth stock in terms of its multiple. So then let's just have a check-in on what does the defense business actually mean for Rocket Lab, because this is a part of the business that is just getting stronger and stronger, and we saw that from the previous earnings. We saw a big jump in their backlog from the previous earnings, $1.1 billion up to $1.85 billion, and of course we know that came from a massive contract, and that actually took the backlog of Rocket Lab's, all of Rocket Lab's backlog, from 43% government to 65% government. And why that is important is obviously because government, the majority of their government revenue is from defense and defense essentially. And what Adam Spice has also mentioned as well is a lot of this commercial side of the business, while they are working with commercial companies, those commercial companies are also serving government and defense contracts as well. So you could actually think about it, there's a lot more money coming from defense via the third party commercial contracts that they're also getting as well. So then I actually wanted to look into, let's see the different ways that they are getting money from these defense contracts. And I put together this, just kind of essentially got Claude to write me a small PDF on what we're getting, just so we can get an idea of where these defense contracts are coming from. We've got here the design and manufacture of 18 tracker layer satellites, the huge contract we have just got, but then we've got the CHIPS Act award, which is semiconductor and solar space solar cells, sorry. They've been given an award for that, 23 million from the Department of Commerce, Chips and Science Act, sorry. HASTE, we of course got hypersonic missile, hypersonic testing, sorry. So they turn their Electron rocket, instead of an orbital vehicle, turn it into a hypersonic test vehicle, huge for defense. We've got other launches, so Electron launch for a space test program demonstration. We've got another one, Victus Haze, which is about, I believe, connecting two spacecrafts and rendezvousing inside of space, again from the Space Force, another space development contract. And we've got ones like here as well, which is supplying 80 plus light band separation systems. One of the biggest creators of satellites is government and defense contractors, and Rocket Lab sells a huge amount of parts for making satellites, such as reaction wheels, such as separation systems, and they are going to be used for that as well. They've also got other stuff like upper stage development for Neutron. They got a grant from that because they also want to be testing, well, this is for the NSSL launch, but it also reminds me of stuff like kind of fast point-to-point transfer of goods, which is another contract that they have got. So we've got all of these ways that Rocket Lab is making money by helping defense in the US and inside other countries as well. We've got this point, which happened nearly a year ago now, but talking about the HASTE, this actually got on-ramped onto the US's and also the UK's defense contract. They can now bid with HASTE. This is hugely important. From what I understand, this is essentially the cheapest way that you can test all things at a hypersonic test, hypersonic speed, sorry. So it's much better than a hypersonic wind tunnel. You can go so much faster, and it's so much cheaper than other sounding rockets, which were tens of millions, which is what they had to use before. So to bring this all back, has Rocket Lab's stock been helped by the fact that they have so much money coming in from defense? Of course, I wouldn't be able to say that, but it certainly looks like a nice little backstop we have for the business. So they make money in so many different ways, and they have so much exciting stuff coming from the future. This is just another way that they are making money, and another reason why possibly Rocket Lab demands such a high multiple. As Adam Spice says, that these government contracts are fantastic contracts to have because government pays well and they always pay on time. And actually Rocket Lab's in quite a rare position where the S-curve of their revenue is actually predominantly, or a lot of it is coming from government. So it's very rare that actually happens. You have good paying on-time payments from the government coming, and it has taken an S-curve adoption. That is because of space exploration, and also because of increased spending, particularly inside of space when it comes to defense. So, and also we just have to look at this last thing just have a look at the payloads. We know they recently acquired Geost. We have to think about all the third-party stuff they're going to be doing as well. So even though we take, for example, the recent contract they've got, they are building those satellites, but there are lots of other companies that are building satellites for defense as well that are going to be, Rocket Lab are going to be supplying as a third party. So if you're building a satellite for a defense purpose. We know that the geost optical systems have also been used previously in other SDA contracts. So they're also doing that in that way. They're not just building the satellite themselves, but they are selling these crucial defense payloads to other companies, which can then be put on their satellite. So they really do have their fingers in a lot of pies when it comes to the defense industry. And I think it's worth noting at this time, of course, we do not want to, it's not a good thing when conflicts happen, but this is something which looks like it is, Rocket Lab supports in a lot of these areas when it comes to the essentials in defense. And it looks like something that is actually going to be helping the stock price, or at least act as a backdrop, because it is another piece of crucial technology that Rocket Lab makes. So I just wanted to go through that because it was a good little bit of research that I was doing of going down that rabbit hole. And I thought it was good to share how important this part of the business is for Rocket Lab and how key the technologies that they are producing really are, because they are not easy technologies, and that's why they take so long to develop, but there's also why they can command such a high price. So I really hope you found this useful. If you have any opinions on this, please do let me know in the comments. I would love to hear. And apart from that, I will see you on the very next video.